This is the Horse Radio Network.
I'm Kimberly Brown with the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, and today we have two very special guests. I'm going to be introducing the innovator in equestrian marketing and retail sectors and a voice heard around the world. Supporter of the horse industry, originally from Pennsylvania, we have Glenn the Geek on the show. Welcome to your show.
Hi, this is weird, Kim. Hi.
Hi. Great to have you on your show today.
It's nice to be on your show.
All right.
Whose
wonderful.
show is this?
I can't talk. I haven't been introduced yet.
Oh, okay.
All right. Our next guest on the show is Helena the Bumblebee, although her business card says Helena B. She's bright and smiling, and I don't know a lot about her, so we're going to get to know your other usual host of the Horse Radio Network, Helena B. Hello, Helena.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm honored. It's a great show.
Yeah, we listen all the time.
All right. So
We're big fans.
you've not tuned into the wrong radio station. You're here at the Horse Radio Network, and we decided to change the format today. I was the originally scheduled guest. I'm Kimberly Brown from Horse Capital Productions, producer of the International Equestrian Festival. And instead of talking about all the great things that are happening at the festival, from September 25th through October 10th in Lexington, Kentucky at the Downtown Convention Center, we're going to talk about all the wonderful things happening at the Horse Radio Network. And we're going to get to ask all the questions that all of you always wanted to ask of your hosts.
And I have the feeling that my wife primed her, so we're in trouble.
She has paper in front of her.
She does. She has notes, and we haven't seen the notes.
We're in deep manure.
You know, now I know what our guests feel like when they say, can we have questions in advance? And we say no. And now I know what they feel like.
It's really hard not talking when you're not asked. Like, I have to just sit here and not open my mouth unless I'm spoken to.
All right, Kim, sorry.
All right. So your minds must be reeling on what type of questions I'm going to ask.
Yeah, we're kind of wondering, actually. This is weird.
Well, first of all, I have to know, Glenn the Geek, where did that come from?
It actually came from, we started the second or third internet tax store, and we decided that at the internet at that time was brand new, and people were just starting out, and everything was boring. So we thought we'd make our tax store a little more fun. And what happened was we had every description was funny. We changed everything to be humorous. And it really started taking off. And then we started adding more technology. And then everybody just started referring to me as Glenn the Geek because it was a geeky sort of site. So
the technology.
The technology. And it stuck. And then I started Tack of the Day when I was with Bit of Britain. And Glenn the Geek just stuck there, too, because that's a humorous site, too. So that's how and just has always been that way.
Okay, so for all the listeners out there, I do have to say, Glenn's a pretty cool dude. I always wanted to know how he got the geek terminology with that. So we'll still call him Glenn the Geek.
I do not wear a pocket protector, notice. There's no pocket protector here.
But I do have to say, when we changed the format of the show today, I was ready to go sit on the other side.
I wouldn't let her touch the buttons and dials.
So he had to draw the line there, folks. So.
Glenn the Geek, the control freak.
And this is weird, too, because we're recording the show in person, which we don't usually do.
We should explain over the show again.
Kim, could you explain that?
No.
No, I asked her to explain it.
You can't. You're the guest.
Oh,
she runs the show.
Sorry.
I told you
Sorry,
that was going to happen.
Sorry.
Glenn the Geek, the control freak.
Yes.
There we go.
No joke.
It's a new tagline. We'll get to that in a minute. All right,
sorry.
Helena the Bumblebee, or just Helena B. How did that come about?
How did that come about? I don't even know.
Well, I'm Italian. I'm from New York, and we always have our eyes open for who's ever going to come through the door. You don't want to be identified, so I didn't want to use my last name because you never know what gun-toting mafioso might show up my door because I gave his product a bad review. So I know my last initial is B, and when I was a little girl, my mother used to call me Helena B. I don't know where the B came from, but it was just Helena B. Helena B.
Oh, I can't ask any questions.
I thought she was busy as a bee.
Well, that too, no, okay. My favorite book of all time in the whole world when I was a little girl was called The Casual Observer. And in it, there was a character named Tina B. And Tina B would just go and observe nature. She would be bent over a clump of violets, or she'd be watching a raccoon or something like that. And so her name was Tina B. And because it was my favorite, I think that's where the Helena B came from.
Okay.
So it was just a natural evolution to convert my last initial into Helena B.
That sounds great. We've always wondered, I have to say, so the listeners finally get the answer that they've been wondering about for so very long.
Oh.
Well, I wanted to ask you a couple of other things because we want to get to know the personalities and all the true nitty-gritty behind our favorite hosts. So, Glenn, I have a special request. I'd like to know...
I don't dance.
Well...
This is almost like a game show. I wanted to do really go around and get a list of questions from some of your favorite people that you've interviewed, and just be able to open them up here and ask them right on the air without any preview of what the questions were. But instead, this is almost like the honeymoon show where your wife has submitted a question.
Oh no, that's
and
bad.
She would like to know, what were you wearing when you met your wife?
Oh yeah, well that is kind of a famous story actually. I was wearing a dress and tights. I actually was. We were at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, and we were both actors there. And I was playing a town crier, and so I had a tunic. I was all in costume, and I had a tunic and tights and stuff. But I had another title. See, I was actually officially they dubbed me that year the town crier and flirt. So my job was to ring my bell and lead the way for the queen and all that stuff. But it was also to flirt with every girl that came through the door was my job.
That was your job.
That was my job.
Sure.
And those days, 25 years ago now, AIDS wasn't such a big thing. So we actually had, as part of the cast, kissing wench and a kissing squire that would charge $1 for a peck and $5 for a French kiss. And I know, and this was they made more money, those two. I have a funny story
about it. This is supposed to be a G-rated show.
They made more money, those two. They made hundreds of dollars doing that all day long.
Well, yeah.
Well, now there's a funny story to this. So I did meet Jennifer at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, and I was wearing a dress and tights, and I was all dressed up with my bell and all that. This is how I met her father for the first time. Now, you got to picture her father. You've met her father, I believe, haven't you, Helena? No. He is a fiery Viking redhead, okay, who has the personality of a fiery Viking redhead.
So we've got Glenn the flirt meeting the fiery Viking redhead.
Well, we decided that it was a couple weeks into the fair. We decided, Jennifer and I, my wife and I, we had never kissed before, and we decided that we would challenge the kissing squire and the kissing wench to a kiss-off. So Jennifer and I, in the middle of the square with hundreds of people around.
And your father there?
We didn't know. We didn't know he was there. We had no idea he was even in the park that day. So we go up, and Jennifer and I, this is our first kiss, and then the kissing squire and kissing wench are kissing each other, and the contest was who could kiss the longest.
I'm embarrassed.
And so we did. We actually did. We won the contest, and everybody cheered and clapped and everything. And then out of the audience walks this guy and comes up to Jennifer and gives her a big hug. I had no idea who he was. It was her dad, and that's what he saw. That's what he saw me first, was kissing his girl in the middle of hundreds of people. And if I remember right, it wasn't a peck on the cheek
Jennifer's
either. Yeah, my wife's blushing now.
So originally from Pennsylvania, now living in a secret location in Lexington, Kentucky.
I know where it is.
Most of the time.
Yeah,
That's great.
Sometimes.
All right, super. I'm not sure who got set up on that question, me or you.
You're blushing more than me.
Helena, I've got
You weren't expecting that answer, were you?
That was great. I like that. I knew you did have an acting background with the theatrical Shakespearean side. Okay, so Helena, I've got a question for you. And this is actually more just a story to tell us. Okay. I'd like to know what your favorite fairy tale is. What's your favorite fairy tale?
Oh my gosh, I'm a fairy tale fan. My favorite fairy tale. I'm not very good at being on the spot.
You were making fun of me.
You know what? I'll just make it my own. I like dragons and fairies, and I guess
So I hear you like fairy tales that have specific vegetables in them. Does that make any sense?
Oh, The Princess and the Pea.
Oh, okay. Princess and the Pea.
It's not my favorite fairy tale, but it does describe me.
Okay.
I'm
let's
very
hear it.
sensitive. I just
A little emotional.
a little emotional. No,
I'm getting some help from the peanut gallery.
yeah,
by
I
the
know.
way.
Glenn and Jennifer tease me all the time because I'm super sensitive about my tack, about Glenn's giving me the he's watching.
I'm waiting.
Glenn is watching my lips to see how far from my microphone they go.
2 inches.
It's supposed to be 2 inches,
Is
but you
the
see,
status.
I talk and I move, and if I go over here, I have to leave my mouth in front of the microphone. Okay, so The Princess and the Pea. Does everybody
Well,
know
while
that
he's
story?
watching you do that, he can't watch me press the buttons.
Oh, she's going to be my new co-host.
Yes, she's pretty good.
Do we have a laugh track?
We don't need one. We're doing it for you. My mouth hurts.
Well, I'm sensitive, very sensitive to things bunching and pinching and chafing and
Okay.
aggravating me. And so when I shop for tack, like, breeches and stuff, they can't bunch. It has to be the right fit. Otherwise, it bothers me. And, your socks have to be... I'm a little OCD. My socks have to be, like, seam side up. And they can't... they have
More than a little
the
OCD
left
there,
has to be
Kim.
on the left, and the right has to be on the right. Because... I'm... You know what?
Okay. We're adjusting the microphone.
Thank
Helena's new at this.
No, not we. Who? Who's adjusting
Glenn.
the microphone?
Glenn the Flirt is adjusting the microphone.
Glenn the geek, the control freak.
Glenn the flirt.
So, yeah. So when I shop for things, it has to be very smooth, practical. I'm like the close contact queen. Can we go
Okay.
from Princess and the Pea to the close contact
queen. Okay. Well, let's talk about products because where are we today?
Yes, we
Where
are
are
at
we
the
broadcasting
Ada International Trade Show, which is in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. We're recording down here for the Tack and Habit Show.
Glenn always says Ada because he can never remember what the letters say.
Tack and Habit Show. Now, wait a minute. Stable Scoop Radio Show.
Yeah, we're on Stable Scoop right now, but we're actually recording Tack and Habits down here.
Right.
And we're doing a lot of recordings with manufacturers and with new products coming out for the fall.
Right.
Okay.
It's the American Equestrian Trade Association, and
Yes.
the reason I want to say those words out loud is because I think it's a great organization.
It is. Now, I do want to jump in and say, don't jump in your car and drive here right away because this is a private show for wholesalers
Right.
and buyers. So
Right.
It's to the trade.
This is the preview of what's going to be in the tack stores next season. So, Helena, you can check out the products that are not going to bunch or chafe or rub
Yeah.
or pinch or bind or any of those other qualifications that you have.
Right, binding, that's another one.
Right, yeah. Binding's a problem.
No binding.
So,
And no wedgies, wedgie free. Hey, for anybody out there that's listening that wants to create a new product, come up with a wedgie free undergarment. I think Piper Line.
I'm not even going there. I'm just letting this all alone here. I've been in enough
All right,
trouble this
well,
weekend.
I can't keep up with the portions of the shows that we're doing while we're here. So why don't you tell me about all the different shows that you have here at the Horse Radio Network? Because they keep growing and expanding, and they're very exciting.
Well, we actually have 8 shows right now on the Horse Radio Network. It started out with just Helena and I doing Stable Scoop. We've told that story many times for
Yep.
fans.
Yep.
And then the 2010 radio show, which was the World Equestrian Games show, came about. And, of course, we're very close to that now. So
Right, and where are you going to be broadcasting?
we're going to be It's funny you ask. I wonder why she asked. We're actually going to be broadcasting from your home at the International Equestrian Festival every night at downtown Lexington at the Convention Center, live in front of an audience. So that's going to be cool.
Fantastic. Do you think we'll be able to get the audience members to do the interviewing at that event?
No.
Really, seriously, yesterday when we talked about doing this show and getting the logistics, I said, well, instead of interviewing me, how about I do the interviewing?
It was so much fun. This is great.
So we really definitely changed the format, and we're just going with the flow here. So you're going to be broadcasting live from the International Equestrian Festival?
Every night for 16 nights during the World Equestrian Games. We're going to be doing a wrap-up show. We'll be having guests down there. We're going to be set up right beside our friends from HRTV, actually.
That's right, the presenting sponsors of the International Equestrian Festival.
And I had the opportunity to spend about an hour with them yesterday, so that was a lot of fun, and I think we're going to be working together on some projects here in the future too.
Absolutely.
So, and then we started. Then Chris Stafford came along. She called me one day. Kind of a funny story. She called me out of the blue and said, "I see you're doing this radio thing, and I'd like to help. I think I could. I know a lot of people, and I could do a show on eventing because Rolex is coming up. We should just do an eventing show." And I said no, and then she called back, and I said no, and then she called back, and we finally. She begged me to go to lunch, and she offered to buy, so I went to lunch because you know me, Helena. It's all about the food. And it was free food, so that was even better.
Even better.
So, and then she talked me into it. She said, "Let's just do an eventing show. There's 4 months till Rolex, and then we'll just quit."
Okay,
so we did.
Yeah, but I see here you've got the eventing show is the regular show.
Yeah, actually. It's almost 2 years old, too, and we kept it going because it was so popular. It just took off. It was great. It was a lot of fun. And then
That's a great guest.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
All the
that's
top.
another question I've got here for you, too, in a minute. So.
Okay.
I mean, there are the top names in the world. Now, I was co-hosting.
And they're a
eventing.
dynamic bunch, too.
Yeah, they are.
They always
you
have
get
something
Boyd
to
Martin
say.
on
I
and to
know.
do. You
Good
got a
looking
good.
bunch.
Pretty fun.
Yeah, so I actually did that show as a co-host for 40 weeks, and then I decided I didn't know enough about eventing to continue doing it,
So here,
I
I've just
bailed
got a new
out.
idea. One of the things that you all need to start doing when you've got the eventing show, and then you're going to tell me about dressage
And jumping, yep.
and some of the other shows that you have. I think one of the first things you need to do at the beginning of each year is go ride in each of these sports
Keep going. I'm listening.
on a horse that's maybe got some issues, and all of the things that you've learned over the past year by interviewing all of your guests. We need for you to, walk us through a lesson on that horse and give us your real take on what it's like. So that when you're interviewing the guests for eventing and they talk about how they had to, go through that water jump and it was just a really tough time and the footing just wasn't very good and they crashed and burned in the water, but they got back up and,
Kim,
kept on training.
I can do radio shows with broken bones. It's not a problem.
What do you think I spent 3 years horse shopping for? I bought a horse.
So that didn't do all that stuff.
Each show, we could try a little something.
Right. So now normally we'd say, let's put Glenn on a really nice horse. Helena, you're a good rider. We could put you on a good horse. But I think we should shake things up a little bit and, put you on the one that's the dirty stopper at the jump and see how that works out.
No.
I'm just kidding. We take good care of you. Okay.
That's Jen's job.
Yeah, right.
It was your job.
All right. So we've got the eventing show and Chris Stafford, the host of that show.
Yeah, and then she's hosting 2 more now. We added shows along the way. We added the dressage radio show, which I have to say, of all the audiences out there, the dressage audience has been the most dynamic. They have been the most active members of the listening audience with emails, and they just have taken to that show. And I think partly it's because, too, she has some excellent co-hosts. Lisa Wilcox, Debbie McDonald, they're top names in the dressage world.
Yeah.
And she really, and Heather Blitz, and, just all the people that have been on that show in the dressage community really has gathered around that show. It's been very interesting to watch and a lot of fun. And the jumping show just started actually about 15 episodes ago, I think.
That's it?
Yeah, it's only 15 episodes since the jumping show, so that's still gaining legs and gaining an audience. And that show's a little different. We do a lot more on training and teaching on that show than we do the others,
right.
Because jumping really applies to more than just show jumping.
It does.
It's eventing and hunters and the whole thing.
Fox hunting.
Yeah,
I hear you're a
fox
fox
hunting.
hunter, Helena.
I was.
Back in
I'd
the
like
day?
to be again. I currently live in an area without a hunt. But I think I'm just going to make my own. I'm just going to start my own.
You gotta get your own pack
It's
in.
the perfect hunt country without a hunt.
You don't own a hound dog. You own a big 300-pound beast.
She's not a beast. I'm going to tell
What
her.
type of dog do you have?
I have a female Saint Bernard named Bella.
Wow.
But I've always had big dogs. What's that?
That's a good dog.
She could be the whole
You
pack.
put a saddle on her and take her out hunting.
I know. We call her a pig because she sticks her nose in the ground and she snorts like she's hunted for something.
Probably moles and little critters.
And I don't
around,
think
so-
at her current size, which is probably more like 150 pounds,
Yeah.
At her current size, I don't think we have to worry about killing any foxes either.
No, she doesn't want to kill anything. She just wants to. She's really a big lap dog. She's
Okay.
a great dog.
Well, you do know that all of our horse owners here, well, I shouldn't say all, most of the horse owners have dogs as well. So maybe at some point think about doing a
dog show. Yeah, we
for
have
horse owners.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea.
Ooh.
Didn't
There
think
you
about
go.
that.
But the only thing is, it can't be the Jack Russell show because I can't do little terrier dogs. I had to. People have to know, and I think a lot of our regular listeners know that.
Yep.
I put myself through college, and to do that, I worked for small animal veterinarians for 4 or 5 years, and
that's where she became a real fan of the Jack Russell.
I got bit by more little dogs than big dogs. I mean, the big dogs are never a problem.
All horses will kick. All dogs will bite.
All dogs, if they have teeth, they will bite. That's right. And I say that, too.
Absolutely.
Does he bite? Does he have teeth?
Okay, so for ideas for future shows, there we go.
There we go.
So back to the jumping show. So that's rolling along pretty well. And then we've got Horse Tip Daily. Tell me about that one.
And right after this commercial, I'll help you out here, Kim. And right after this commercial from one of our fine sponsors, we'll talk about the rest of the lineup here on the Horse Radio Network. Omega Alpha Pharmaceuticals creates only natural health products. Their scientists, guided by Dr. Gordon Chang, formulate a wide variety of mainly herbal health products to address many equine health problems. And one of their users is international Canadian sensation event rider Jessica Phoenix. And we have Jessica on here for a second to tell us what she thinks about Omega Alpha. Well, hi, Jess. I hear that you use Omega Alpha.
I do. I love their products. I've started using them this year, and the one product that I really love is Anti-Flam. It just takes the sting out of the horse's feet and keeps them moving comfortably. And I know that from using it in our barn, a lot of horses have benefited from it.
You can look for their products at retailers nationwide or visit their website at omegaalpha.ca. That's omegaalpha.ca.
All right, well, welcome back to the show, everybody. We were just getting ready to talk about the Horse Tip Daily Show.
Well, I decided I didn't have enough to do with all the other shows we had in the network, and at this point, I was still editing all the shows myself, too. I was doing all the editing and putting up all those notes and everything. It was just me doing that part, all the production. And so we decided to do a daily show called Horse Tip Daily, which is a little fun show, about 5-10 minutes long. That's a different tip from a different expert in the horse world every day. And some big names and some people you've never heard of that just have great information. And that show right now, in the number of downloads, has finally exceeded Stable Scoop. But it should. It's a daily show. So there's a lot more episodes.
It gets 5 times.
Let me ask about your downloads and the audience that you have. How many countries are receiving?
42 countries right now. We have listeners in 42 countries. Now, some of those little countries may only have one. But
that's okay.
That's okay.
You're there.
Our biggest countries are the United States, obviously.
Right.
Canada second.
Okay.
And then third is the UK.
All right.
All the countries over there in the United Kingdom. And then Australia and New Zealand are fourth.
Really?
And then a surprising up-and-comer still is Israel. And I didn't even know they had horses in Israel. That kind of surprised me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have a lot more. I don't know where
they're in Israel, too.
Right. Well, from a horse community standpoint, that's definitely gaining ground. And how about South America?
South America, there are some, not as many as you would think. We actually have Africa. We have quite a few of the countries. South Africa.
South Africa,
there are a lot of horses in
really
South
growing.
Africa. Yeah, there
The
is.
horse community. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so
Well, when are you going to start broadcasting in multiple languages?
The nice part about the horse world, I have an answer for that. The nice part about the horse world is that most people that compete in the horse world or are actively involved in the horse world speak English from around the world. So the
Okay.
answer to the question is not soon.
But we do acknowledge that English is not the most widely spoken language in the world. We do understand that. However, it's the most widely spoken language in the United States.
Yes, that's right.
It's your most widely spoken language.
Yeah, I speak no other languages. It's our most widely spoken
All right,
language.
fair enough. Okay, so we've got the Horse Tip Daily. Now, who's the host of that show?
I am the host of that show.
Okay,
actually.
well, where does Samantha fit in?
Samantha, my friend, is the host of the 2010 radio show.
There we go.
And she is a sweetheart. She came over from England about 11 years ago.
We love Samantha.
Yeah, has lived in Lexington. She has that sweet, smooth English accent.
But she's just a sweet, smooth person.
She is.
Really
She's a lot of
good-hearted.
fun, too, to
Right.
hang out with. So she has been hosting. She started about episode 60 on the 2010 radio show,
Right.
and she's been with me ever since. She's going to be with us downtown at the
Fantastic.
International Equestrian Festival. Get your plugs in here, Kim. At the International Equestrian Festival downtown.
From September 25th to October 10th in the Lexington Convention Center.
Atta girl.
And then so she'll be down there with us every night. And Samantha knows she has taken to this co-hosting role very well. She's actually, they'll put another plug in, WUKY, the NPR station in Lexington. She's actually now doing coverage for them from now through the World Equestrian Games as well.
Great.
So she's doing weekly updates, and then during the World Equestrian Games, she'll actually be doing daily updates for them. So she used to work there. She used to be a newsreader at WUKY, and she knows eventing very well. And that's a funny story too. I asked her to do the 2010 radio show, and she said, "No, I want to do eventing." And I said, "Well, we already have a host for eventing. You can't do eventing." And she said, "Well, I don't want to do it then because I really like eventing." And I said, "You'll love this. You'll love it." And she didn't believe me, but she tried it, and she has now
a little bit of Tom Sawyer whitewashing.
It was, and now she loves all these other sports, and she's gotten to know the other athletes, and she really is getting into it.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing her again for sure. So, all right, I've got on here Western.
The Western
radio show.
We wanted to do. Helena and I kept saying we needed to do it, didn't we?
Yes.
Western
Well,
show.
we got a lot of requests for it.
Yeah, we kept getting emails saying
Western coverage.
A lot of your email requests.
Yes.
Email, voicemails.
Okay.
Knocks on the head.
Hence the Helena B.
Yes.
No last name known.
No.
But the problem we had, Helena and I talked about, is we knew neither one of us were qualified to do a Western show properly.
Properly. Well,
we do Western on our show here in Stable Scoop, but it's we do episodes on it, on Western topics. But we knew that we couldn't lead the pack in a Western show.
Right. So how'd you go find your host for that?
Well, that was interesting. We spent about 6 months trying to find 2 good hosts for that.
But wait a minute. But because we were thinking about it, but then we did a
so she
Western
says no
topic.
good hosts.
Right. And my mind is like a sieve, so Glenn's probably correct me. But the way I remember it is that we had Jimmy Kay on for an episode of Stable Scoop to talk about rodeo.
Well,
and we loved her so much, and Alan.
Yep.
And we loved them so much. Said, "Gee, wouldn't they make great hosts?"
And then we
well, here we are again.
Yeah, and that's how they came about, and they are terrific hosts for that show.
When we listened to their first show together, we got the chills because we thought, what a perfect. It doesn't happen that easily to have those
great.
2 dynamic
They've
personalities.
got the expertise, they've got the personalities, they've got the knowledge.
And he's got that great big deep announcer voice,
He does, yeah.
and he sounds very Western, Southern Western.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When do we hear the Western show? When can we download that?
That's just every week. It comes out on Tuesdays every week, and it's at westernradioshow.com. And it's about anything Western. It's sort of an all-purpose show like Stable Scoop is, but in the Western world. And then the one we're here recording.
Tack and Habit. Tell me about the name.
You tell.
I love.
She came up with the name, so
The name and the logo.
she came. Helena. That's Helena's logo.
Oh, I want to talk about the logo in a minute, but yeah, tell me about your Tack and Habit logo because that's just very sweet. I'm sort of looking at a picture of a brown horse and a pink horse
with big old googly eyes.
They do. They just look
goofy.
so happy and fun. So
It's
Tack
us.
and Habit.
Tack and Habit, and we knew that we were going to have a product show, and we needed obviously 2 words that would encompass everything that we would talk about. And I absolutely love the term habits, riding habits.
Okay.
I don't know why. I'm a little
Surprised
strange.
you didn't name it the non-bunching and chafing show.
That'll be the next one. That'll be for all products that I like.
That'll be Helena's show.
And I tell you what, when people get hooked on a product, they stay with it forever because I found a great product at one point that cured all the rain rot and everything, and I would drive a far way away to go get that product for my horse, told everybody about it. But you'll have to listen to that on the Tack and Habit show to find out the secret formula.
What problem we had with Habit, though, Helena, if you remember right, is nobody knows what it is anymore. If you're under the age of about 30, you have no idea what a habit is.
Tack and Habit.
So I think they think that we're like on drugs, and it's a show about tack and drugs.
Well, and that was it. We didn't mind the play on words because we are addicted to tack and stuff and habit, and it is a habit.
Okay, speaking of addictions.
Oh, no.
Can I finish talking about the
I've got a question.
Oh, yeah, she has to finish talking about the logo because she loves her logo.
And then I'm not
She
gonna
loves
get
her
the bird here.
logo.
Wait a minute, I'm the host.
All right.
I want to ask another question. I want to press the buttons.
Damn.
You lost.
All right.
I got to learn how to enjoy this.
I'm going to interject a little question here, and it's a trick question.
Oh.
There's no right answer.
Oh. I hate those.
If you're given the choice between being able to keep your car or keep your horse, which do you choose and why?
Oh, my horse, hands down. hands down. Because I want to drive everywhere on my. I mean, I want to travel.
Oh, wait.
everywhere on my horse.
Okay. You want to travel everywhere on your horse?
Yeah, I have no
Okay.
problem going to the store.
All right.
and,
It's going to take you a long time to get home from Philadelphia on your horse.
Well, I'll just hop on the train.
Yeah.
If I have to go anywhere, I'll fly. I'll get rides.
Okay, all right.
We are unruly guests, aren't we?
Just testing the waters here. And Glenn, your answer is?
Oh, geez, that's a tough one. And now my wife's over there cracking
Okay,
up.
Glenn the Geek, folks, is going to answer this.
No, you know what you have to do? You have to ask him, can he give up his laptop? Or his phone?
Oh, that'd be tough. That'd be
phone
tough.
or his
All right.
laptop.
That'd be
Okay,
Or
Glenn the
horse.
Geek remains Glenn the Geek.
Yeah.
Helena has proven herself worthy of the horse industry because that is a question
Now,
that
that was unfair a little bit. If you had said to me, would you give up your car or your carriage and your horse? That would have been tougher because I
Okay.
do like driving better than riding.
Really?
Which
Okay,
everybody
I didn't know
knows.
that.
Yeah,
didn't know that.
listeners
That
to the
doesn't
shows.
prove
know.
your worth as a horseman.
yeah.
I want to
Okay.
know if you're going to give up.
Well,
your,
now,
your
okay, and I
gadgets.
ask you that because I've asked that question to people at economic conferences before and some business meetings. And if I've got an audience that has part horsemen and part business people in the audience, and I ask that question, or I tell them what my choice was.
What was your choice?
My choice was keep the horse. So actually, I had that dilemma in graduate school, and what I did was I said, well, gosh, I've got this budget thing, and I either get to keep the car or keep the horse, and that's real simple. I'm going to keep the horse. The business people in the audience always shake their heads and they're perplexed and they don't get it, and they just cannot comprehend. And all of the people that are the true-to-heart, die-hard horsemen that love their horse more than they love their computer, although Glenn is the die-hard radio host, I'll say, they say, oh, well, that's simple. I will do whatever. I can find a ride. I can find something else, but I'm going to keep the horse because I can't replace that.
You
So
can't. You
There
can't
you
replace
go.
the feeling. It's like an essential vitamin.
That's very, very true. Okay, so we know that if given the choice between keeping his host chair and the buttons, he's going to keep the host chair and the buttons and get rid of the car. We'll be back.
get rid of the car.
That's pretty good.
You
All
almost
right.
missed that one.
I did almost miss that one.
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
For over a year now, we've been telling you about all the cool things happening at Equestrian Collections and the variety and selection of products they have at fantastic prices. But today, we want to talk to you a little bit about their social networking and what a community they have built on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and search for Equestrian Collections, you're going to find that over 20,000 fans are now following Equestrian Collections on Facebook. And the reason is they have a dynamic community built over there. On most store sites, most company sites on Facebook will just promote product and things like that. That's not what happens on Equestrian Collections. Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but mostly it's the community sharing pictures, talking about stories, asking questions of each other. It's an active, vibrant community, like a little forum right there on Facebook. Search for Equestrian Collections on Facebook or stop over to equestriancollections.com for all of your horse and rider needs.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We were just talking about horses, cars, computers, keyboards, and buttons that just really want to push the buttons. Okay, so
They're very colorful buttons.
what I really wanted to ask you about, we're talking about the logo for Tack and Habit, which is really cute and friendly. So, Helena, tell me about how that logo came about.
I searched for some graphics work that really represented Glenn and I, and we're unique in the world. We're unique in the industry. We're both a little goofy. We're very similar, I think, in our hearts and our souls.
Are the cartoon horses each of you?
Yes, actually.
That's great.
The pink horse is me, and the brown horse is
And
Glenn.
our
Oh, she had to
personalities.
describe that, everybody, by the way.
Yeah.
So there's one brown horse and one pink horse, and Helena says that she's the pink horse.
Well, I'm bigger too, and you're pretty short. So, I'm the
Petite. Can we say petite?
Okay,
Thank
petite,
you.
yeah,
Petite.
yeah.
And,
And short.
so yeah, those expressions are pretty accurate. If
That's
you
great.
see the Tack and Habit
Yes.
logo, that is Glenn and I.
It really represents our personalities.
It does.
Yeah, that's super. All right, well, I've got one more logo to ask you about because you've got a new logo here for the Horse Radio Network, and it is absolutely just a charming logo. Tell me about it.
Shout out to Sherry at Orion Group in Lexington. We never really had a logo for the Horse Radio Network. All our shows had cool logos, but we never had a logo for the Horse Radio Network. It was just something that just never happened. So what happened was I got this contact with Sherry, and I said, Sherry, I want a logo that when you take the words out and the letters out, you just look at the graphic, people know instantly what who it represents. And boy, anybody that hasn't seen the new logo can go to horseradionetwork.com and see it. She nailed it.
It's a happy logo. It just makes me smile right away. And actually, yeah, when you look at it, it's you do feel like just smiling. So.
Yes, it is. And when you look at it, you know it's us. I mean, who else could it be? It's just it's a microphone with a horse head, but a cute, fun, and it's got the big eyes that really Stable Scoop started. Stable Scoop logo's big eyes, and it represents that big eyes that we have because it's sort of, I never thought about it. It really is the way we look at the horse world with big eyes.
With big eyes.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So,
well, how did you get into horse radio, Glenn, the geek?
We did a little show called the Talking Equine Show years ago. We did,
how long have you all known each other?
10 years now?
10 years, okay.
Maybe?
I don't know.
We lived when she actually worked. Helena actually worked with my wife at Myopia Hunt Club.
5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 years. 6 years maybe.
How old is Grace? She was a baby, so 7.5 years.
7.5 years. Okay.
Okay.
And they worked together at the Myopia Hunt Club and hunted together and all of that, and that's how we got to know Helena. And then when I started the Talking Equine Show, I said, Helena, you have to be part of this because of your personality.
And they liked me because I was the only sane human being within a 25-mile radius.
That's the qualifications.
So then when I started,
Talk about crazy.
when I wanted to do a show again, we had quit that one after a couple months. And then when I wanted to do a show again, I called up Helena and I said, we got to do this little show. It'll be fun. Talked you into it, and it didn't take much.
No.
And then it all progressed from that first episode.
We got. Do you remember?
We were pretty bad though in the first episode. I loosened back. It was like, I was cringing.
Oh my God! Do you remember that you had to redo David O'Connor's interview?
Oh, this is a story.
Oops.
First interview, I thought it'd be great. First show, first interview that we could get David O'Connor on.
Ready?
Way to start it, way to really get it rocking and rolling. I accidentally deleted the interview before we got it published.
The whole interview.
We did it. It was like an hour long.
I had to call David O'Connor and ask him to do it again for an hour.
Wow.
And
so you got 2 hours of his time.
He did it.
That is phenomenal. Okay, well, I'm just going to...
He hasn't talked to me since.
Right? Well, I was getting ready to say that might have been your best guest. Certainly your most
we had Jimmy
guest.
Wofford on. We had some really...
We've had some big names.
Everybody wants to know who your best guest is. Who's been your worst guest?
Tough. Worst guest.
Worst guest.
We have such a fun outlook on life.
Oh, good
Well,
grief.
worst in what way?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think
worst
we can
as
actually
in...
say what.
Which one just shook you up, made you sweat, without naming them? Tell me about the interview.
That's funny too because I don't.
And then I'll find out who they are later. No, I'm
Guests?
just kidding.
I got nervous with Gina Miles.
Okay.
I always say this. She was my favorite guest and my worst guest because I was starstruck. I mean, I'm still like a 12-year-old horse girl, So when I run into a manufacturer, when I look at a manufacturer who makes my favorite saddle, I get weak in the knees. So Gina made me nervous, but you know what? Then we started talking about, and I've said this on past shows. Once we started actually talking about horses,
right? She's real. She's fun. It's great. Okay.
And
well, see, that goes back in the best guest category.
I don't
know
really
about worst
get.
Guest. People want to know.
Sorry.
What happens when things go wrong? What do you guys do with that?
We edit it out.
We've had guests who go on and on and on and on. And there's ones who just drone and they have sort of this monotone voice.
And you don't know what to do with them. And
it's kind of hard. And they really have good things to say, but they're sort of hard to listen to.
Okay.
And then you have guests who are great to listen to who just can't shut up. And because they're so excited. And so it's a little awkward.
You just take their microphone away?
No, because we're all remote.
Right.
So we can't say cut. We can't give them.
Yeah, we're on the phone
I'm losing
with them.
signal.
So
we can't give them those nonverbal cues.
I had to use that one. I hadn't thought about that one.
So we do have to sort of talk over them. Or whatever.
All right.
So I wouldn't say the worst guest, but that's a little difficult.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this because everybody wants to know when you're producing a radio show and you're putting it together, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows, and you have all these people to interview and all this equipment. How do you pull it all together and know how it's all going to fit in a week? Because it's just constant, nonstop, every day, every week. And it goes and goes and goes.
The fortunate thing about that is our co-hosts, the hosts for the shows, all do it themselves, actually. They pull their guests together. Chris does all her own. Samantha does 2010. Helena does Stable Scoop. And we both work on Tack and Habit. And then they all do really. Jimmy Kay and Alan pull their guests together. So they do their shows, and they actually have all the equipment now to record their shows, and then it goes. I got to give a shout out.
We serve as producer as well as host.
Right.
So what's the hardest part with that? Because people think on the radio that, you just show up and you talk and you have a good time, and then you
actually
stop and it's
the
done.
most time-consuming part of this whole process is post-production.
Post-production.
Yes, after we get the interviews in and the sound files in, we have to put it all together. And thanks to Brian and Kat, who are a couple that live in Lexington that do all our editing, and they actually put all that together, and then we have to get it posted on the websites and all the social media sites, and all of that actually takes longer than
he's going to
doing
edit
the show.
out the questions.
That's when we edit out. That's right. That's when we edit Kim out of this whole conversation.
Brian and Kat have a sense of humor.
They do.
So, we're
going to have a good time with
and
this for
anybody
sure.
that doesn't know, if you didn't hear last week's show with all the bloopers, at the end of every Stable Scoop show after the music plays, Brian and Kat put Helena's bloopers at the end.
Because I always bloop at the end of the show.
And I never have any because I pay them, so they don't put mine.
Glenn sets me up.
I didn't know that. I'll have to listen past the closing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like at the good movies, when you go in the movie.
That's right. That's
and then
correct.
You wonder why everybody's sitting there through all the credits, and then at the end you get the good stuff.
You do get
That's
the good
right.
stuff.
So, all right. So your blooper show.
Yeah.
What's the best part about the blooper show?
Oh, I surprised her. She didn't know about it.
I laughed. You know what I said? I listened to it on the way down here in the car, and I said, we're pretty funny. But I realized that you set me up so big, because the ending of Stable Scoop, I'm sorry, it's just lame. We're supposed to say, we'll be back next week with the scoop. Well, it's just sort of
boring.
Lays there,
Yeah,
the scoop.
Yeah.
So I try to kind of dress it up. And, I'm good at some things, but I'm not good at that. I can't be creative at the end of an episode. And so we invariably end up with some really silly things.
Okay. Well, I think we've gotten a pretty good scoop today.
Yeah, see, she tried it. You can't. Scoop is lame. You can't.
We've got the scoop.
It's just like a cheesy pun. Yeah.
Which is our whole network. Kind of a cheesy pun.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you think about it. Yeah.
Listening to the horse.
The leaders in cheesy pun.
Okay. This is how it's all designed, just on the fly, ad hoc. Here we go.
and I think that's what makes us successful.
That's
because
true.
Horse people don't do scripts.
Okay. Well, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Regular listeners to the Stable Scoop Show know that Helena and I just love Uncle Jimmy's and his fantastic line of products. His products have the highest quality ingredients, and that is why they have taken off like they have. Of course, it all started with Uncle Jimmy's hanging balls for use in the stalls, and then came squeezy buns. We know you need to reward your horse outside of the stall as well. That is why Uncle Jimmy developed Uncle Jimmy's squeezy buns. Squeezy buns are all natural and loaded with nutritional ingredients for your horse. Unlike similar products on the market, they are individually wrapped to preserve freshness and eliminate mess. With competitive pricing and Uncle Jimmy's quality guarantee, the Squeezy Buns promise to be a hit among horses and horse lovers alike. Learn more about all of Uncle Jimmy's products or to find a dealer, visit uncle-jimmys.com. That's uncle-jimmys.com.
Okay, welcome back to the show, everybody. During the break, we've been discussing who's going to be asking the questions and what we're going to be talking about. And
Kim is taking charge
Brown,
again.
The guest host of the show today, sitting on the side of the table without the buttons, but that's all right.
She
Next
wants
time
those
we'll get
buttons
it.
back.
Yeah, she does. She's going to smack her hand soon.
All right. So I've got a question for you, Helena.
Okay.
Can you tell me all about your horse?
Oh, come on. We hear about her horse every
You're
week.
hired. I love my horse. I love
That's
both
great.
my horses. I have two horses.
You have two horses.
I have two horses. I have a 14 3-hand quarter horse named Zeke.
Okay.
And he's a rock star. He's doing pony camp right now.
Oh, good.
Yes.
All
and
right.
the kids are loving
How old is
him.
Zeke?
Zeke is 17-ish. And
Used to be a fox hunter?
used to be a fox hunter. And before that, he was a lesson and camp horse.
Yep.
And before that, he had the vet thinks that he was a cutting horse. Yes, because he's got he's got jewelry for it. He's got the jewelry for it.
Okay, all right.
So he had a full career, and then as if you're a regular Stable Scoop listener, you all know that I have an 8-year-old Arab
Saddlebred,
cross.
standardbred cross.
Okay.
Saddlebred. I hate when that. You know what? That's like when somebody calls
New
a
show,
male
everybody.
dog.
Breed show.
When my husband we have a female dog, and he always calls her he. I'm like, it's a girl. I mean, I know it doesn't really matter, but it does.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and tell everybody that at the International Equestrian Festival, we're going to be having different breed demonstrations of horses each day.
That's pretty good,
People
Kim.
will have an opportunity
She's
to be
smooth
able
at that.
to.
I want to hear
She's
about
better
your
at transitions than we are.
They'll be able to see and learn about different breeds of horses as they're showcased in Eco Track Park, sponsored by Neutrina.
Will you have a national show horse there?
I'll have to check the schedule. Can you arrange that?
I can't. No.
No, I don't think he'd be good in the crowd yet.
No, not yet.
No.
No. Unless you want a horse on your roof.
We'll talk about that during the next break.
Okay.
But for right now, so you love your two horses.
I do.
They're great.
Yes.
You guys have been doing radio shows together forever, and you guys still got to talk about standard bred versus saddle bred and get all that right.
And
I know how to push your
this
button.
Okay.
This is where it's the whole horse radio network thing started. Is Jennifer and I used to sit when we worked together. We used to sit in the feed room early morning and over a cup of coffee, and we would talk about the horses, the buckets, the grain, the supplements, the borders, whatever it was. But there was never. It was such a involved conversation. It was just something that left us both so satisfied and got us through the entire day. And we thought, we could sit around and talk about this all day long. And then Glenn,
Here we are,
is the talent behind that. He's the artiste. And that's kind of why
So you guys just sit around and talk
That's the
about
politest
horses all
name I've
day.
ever been called.
an artiste.
Yeah.
So you guys get to sit around all day, talk about horses, and get paid for it.
This
That's
is
pretty
the
cool.
best job in the world,
exactly.
actually.
And that's what. So it was like, Jen and I.
How can we make money doing this?
Right.
We would work with horses,
Okay.
and we would talk about them all day, and we got paid for it. And so we thought, well, let's recreate that without all the drama.
Okay. So at the Horse Radio Network, what's next?
We have something that we're going to announce here in the next month that we are very, very excited about. One of the things that I like to be first at doing things, and we were really the first with the network. I've been first on a number of things over the years, and I hate to be second. So we're going to be first at starting something that really does take the Horse Radio Network to the next level. And it's going to be beginning in the first week of November after the World Equestrian Games and the International Equestrian Festival. We are going to, and I can't announce it quite yet, but we're very excited. We have just identified a co-host for it, and it is really going to take us to the next level. And I think that it will become very popular. The people we've been talking to about it, the affiliates, our friends in the horse industry.
So this is code for there's a new really cool show coming.
It's different than what we've done before, though. This is different. Wouldn't you say, Helene? I don't know how much I can say here without...
I'm not a host, so I don't know.
Okay.
Although Helena was offered to be the host and turned it down.
Well, I get to ask questions of this show, and I'm just going to spill the beans. I'm just kidding. All right. So,
Well, are you without spilling the beans? What do you think about the new show? You do know about it.
Okay, I do know about the new show, and what I can say is that people are going to get a really great opportunity to be able to be further entrenched in the horse industry, hear more of the exciting things.
And I'll add, they're going to be able to be actively involved in it.
Actively involved. Let's talk about actively involved. What do you all do on Facebook?
Well, Facebook, each one of the shows has its own Facebook page, and there are conversations going on there. We that was a tough decision when Facebook first came out. We talked about it, whether the Horse Radio Network needed one Facebook page or we needed separate Facebook pages for each show. And we decided at that point that we'd do separate Facebook pages because each show has a lot of the shows have a unique audience, and they wanted to be able to talk their talk without having to hear about all the other stuff.
So what's the most active Facebook page?
I would say it's the dressage show,
The
actually.
dressage show.
Yeah,
Okay.
it really is. Now
right.
we're encouraging the Stable Scoop listeners to get more active.
Yes, and Tech and Happy People.
Yes.
But you can listen to the shows right from
Right
our
on
Facebook page.
Facebook.
Right
so
on
there's just a play
Facebook,
button
yeah.
right there.
Okay, so you just go to Facebook, hit the play button, you can listen to the shows, all the archive shows as well?
And yes, you can take a look back
Okay.
through.
But it's easier to go
It's-
to the show's particular website if you want to go to the archive.
Okay.
Facebook just doesn't do a very good job of
Yeah,
historical data.
yeah, right.
They're better with current.
So when are you guys going to get on iTunes?
We are on
You
iTunes.
are on
oh, yeah, that's
iTunes.
how
Oh,
most
yeah.
people listen.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they listen on
Okay.
iTunes
Yeah,
and
plug
the
in your
Zune.
iPod
All
and
right.
sync
I
up.
usually just go to the website, click play, and listen.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we can go right to iTunes, everybody,
Yep,
and
just
download
subscribe.
all the shows.
Just subscribe, and they'll be downloaded automatically to
Really?
your player.
You can subscribe to all the shows with the click of
Okay.
one button, or individual shows if you
How about the new special show that's coming out?
The new special show, well, I can't
You'll have
really
more information
say.
about that later when it's announced.
That's right, when
You're
it's
gonna have to ask
announced.
James Bond.
You'll be able to listen to that. I can tell you that we have more affiliates signing up for that show than we've had that are very excited, which means you'll be able to listen to it probably on 30 or 40 websites across the internet and a number of other ways, but I can't say or I'll give it away.
All right. So we've got...
And it's not like me to keep my mouth shut about anything.
Right.
So this is tough. I'm dying here.
So we've got about 47 countries, did you say? 37?
42 right now.
42 countries that are listening to the Horse Radio Network.
Over
around
40,000 listeners
Unique
now every
listeners,
month. Unique ones.
individual.
Okay, so
Yeah.
40,000 unique listeners listening to the Horse Radio Network in 42 countries and over 30 affiliate stations.
Yep.
Yes,
That's correct.
including
That's fantastic.
And this is what I'm proud of is that other publishing companies who've been out in the world and are very well respected are now carrying our shows. TheHorse.com,
Chronicle
of
Horse
the
City.
Horse City,
And a number of others.
and they're excited to carry our content, which makes us feel good. I mean, that's the business side of things that you have to
Right.
say we're doing something right. This is fun for us. It started out as something lighthearted and sort of hobby-ish, habit-ish.
Well, you can tell by the logos and the names of the shows that everybody's having a good time. They care about horses and they care about the people.
And we want to send a thanks out to our other co-hosts that aren't here today on all the other shows who we've mentioned here.
Can
They
I
do
interview
it.
them next time?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I want to see you try and interview Chris
all in
sometime.
Oh my gosh.
Shout out to Chris. Let's see how we need to turn the tables on Chris sometime. That'd be
We
fun.
can do that. That'd be a lot of fun.
She's been an interviewer for 40 years. I don't know if she's going to be able to turn that around.
That's part of the fun of it for sure.
Yes.
So,
Kim, you'd be a
okay.
good one to do it, too.
All
We'll
right.
have to,
I
we'll have to
can
do
take
that.
on the
I'm going to call
challenge,
her later
absolutely.
on today and say, you're next week. Cancel your guest. Kim's coming on.
He's all
Kim's coming on the show.
We can do that.
It's not easy being
Absolutely.
on
I'll call her up and say, you're fired for a week as host.
Oh,
We have a new one.
well, you know I like to stir the pot, but we'll see
Look,
how
she
that
doesn't want
goes.
to take Chris on.
She's a tough cookie.
She is a tough
I
cookie.
like it. I will interview Chris Stafford anytime. Absolutely, she is a phenomenal woman and definitely knows a lot about the industry.
Yeah.
She is
And I'm going to
indeed.
ask her.
And I could give you some
wait
questions
a minute,
for
I
Chris.
already know what I'm going to ask her. I want to ask her who the worst guest was.
Oh, yeah, you will. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, yeah, and she's very politically correct.
Yes, she
That's
is.
gonna be a tough one. I know. Again, without naming the guest, tell me what happened.
Well, what
and then,
would happen if we said Joe Schmo was the worst guest
You know what
ever?
we need to do?
Come in, I mean,
You know
that's
what
part
we
of the fun.
You know what we need to do
I'm just kidding.
this is what we need to do. We really need to get all the co-hosts together on one show and have you be the interview of all of us in one show. Can you imagine what a riot that would be?
we can do that. We can make it like a game show.
Oh, a game show.
game
That'd
show.
even be better.
Okay, for points. And
the bell and
Producer will
whistle,
be
the
Jennifer.
bells and buttons girls.
Yeah.
all right. So, how many people have you all interviewed here today?
Well, we
at the
actually
ATA
counted
show?
it. It was 178 on the Stable Scoop show.
Okay.
And on last week's episode, the blooper episode,
Okay.
I actually recorded and listed every one of them. I recorded
Said the
every one of them
names.
to music.
Really?
And we put it at the end of the show. It took 3.5 minutes for me to say all the names of the people that were on the show.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're starting year 3
Yes.
of Stable Scoop.
This episode
Okay.
is year 3.
This is a great way to start it.
Yeah, it is.
All right,
Yeah.
this
Thank
is
you,
very
Kim.
exciting, and we're here at the AETA Equestrian Wholesale and Buyers Trade Show, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate you all letting me be the host of today's show.
Oh, it was a
on
pleasure. You did a great
surprise
job.
announcement,
And of course, everybody can
turning
find the
tables.
show notes at stablescoop.com. They can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And they can follow you. Give out your information.
Absolutely, they can follow the International Equestrian Festival, which is an internet. They can follow the International.
Look, we go 50 minutes in and she gets all
Festival,
tongue-tied now.
which is an independently produced event by Horse Capital Productions
Okay.
in Lexington, Kentucky, from September 25th to October 10th. Please check us out at horsecapitalproductions.com or internationalequestrianfestival.com. And be happy to be back on the show the next time to interview the other hosts as well. And thanks again for having me.
You will be back. You
I will
will
be
do.
back.
Yeah, you did a
Okay.
terrific job. Let's give you a round of applause
Thank
for
you all.
Kim. Good job. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week with...
Kimberly Brown.
No, the scoop. The scoop. See, she even messes it up.
I told you. It's
We can't get the end right.
Scoop.
All right, let's try this again. All right, we'll be back again next week with...
The Scoop.
That's pretty good, Kim.
Yeah.
All right, say goodbye, Alina.
Goodbye, Helena.